I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Good evening, I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB Newsroom. West Midlands Ambulance Service says 4 children who were pulled from a lake in Solihull are all on life support. It says the children were in cardiac arrest when they came out of the water at Babs Mill Park in Kingshurst this afternoon. Emergency services say reports from the scene indicate the children had been playing on the ice and fell through. West Midlands Fire Service says they were told up to 6 people had gone into the water.
Specialist medical advice that we've been given on scene is that given the temperature of the water, given the age of those believed to have entered the water, and also the amount of time they've been in there, that this would no longer be a search and rescue operation. Please, adults and children alike, stay away from open water. Under no circumstances venture onto ice, regardless of how thick or safe you think this ice may be.
Police in Jersey say 5 people are confirmed to have died in yesterday's explosion in St Helier. A blast ripped through a 3-storey block of flats in the capital in the early hours of the morning. Around 4 people are still thought to be missing. The Chief of Jersey Police, Robin Smith, says sadly more fatalities are expected. The government will hold a COBRA meeting tomorrow to try to minimise disruption around the country amid public sector strikes. Plans include the military and civil servants stepping in for Border Force as airport staff, including at Gatwick and Heathrow, will walk off the job from December the 23rd until New Year's Eve. The government says armed forces will be deployed to hospital trusts, with ambulance staff set to walk out, as well as nurses and paramedics later this month. Icy weather conditions have been affecting flights, with Stansted Airport forced to close a runway while it's cleared the snow. Gatwick Airport closed a runway for 2 hours today, with several flights cancelled or delayed as a result of freezing temperatures. Travel disruptions expected during rush hour in the morning, as yellow warnings of ice, fog and snow are in place for much of the UK. The Met Office says overnight frost is expected until next Friday. And the King and Queen consort have chosen the image they want to use for their Christmas card this year. The photograph was taken at a Highland gathering just days before the Queen's death. It's the royal couple's first Christmas card since Charles became monarch. The image was taken by photographer Sam Hussain, showing the King wearing tweed and Camilla in a green suit and matching hat. TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News. Now it's over to headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. I'm Leo Kearse, and to take you through Monday's top stories, I'm blessed to have the company of comedy chums Kerry Marks and Paul Cox. Sounds like an 80s double act. You look a bit like an 80s double act as well, no offence.
We're working on it.
But first, the front pages. We're just going to batter through these quickly. We've got the Daily Mail, and that's that terrible story, the horror on the frozen lake, 4 children fighting for life after ice plunge, fears 2 more are missing. The Daily Telegraph also leads with that tragic story. The Eye leads with hopes raised for last-ditch talks to stop nurses' strike. The Guardian leads with Tories under fire over plans for military to act as strike breakers. Oh, I'd love to see it. Love to see a tank going through a picket line. That would cheer me up. The Financial Times has 2 MEPs held as Qatari corruption scandal shakes European Parliament. Hey, maybe Brexit was right. The Daily Express has Lake horror, 4 children critical after falling into freezing water while playing on the ice. It is dangerous out there, so please be careful. And finally, the Daily Star has Kit's coming home. The Three Lions mascot wins. Stone and Walker rescue Qatar stray. No idea what any of that meant. And those were your front pages. So looking at the front pages, let's start with the Daily Mail, Kerry.
Yeah, this is the awful story we're hearing today of 4 children in critical condition after being rescued from a frozen lake. And there's a search and rescue going on for more. So we've heard there's also an officer who has mild hypothermia. So, you know, all we can say at this point is well done to the emergency services for doing what they do. And there's nothing really to say at this point. You know, I think it's too early to talk about parent supervision and why children were in a lake and so on. And I'm not a parent. I don't know how hard it is to keep your children supervised at all times, but well, I am, yeah.
So it's pretty tricky to, you know...
The usual message is keep your children away from frozen lakes, and that's it, really.
Well, there's not much more to add to that, is there, Kerry? To be honest, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. Turning to the front page of the Telegraph, Paul.
Yeah, and also leading on the frozen lake story, but a couple of other stories, actually plenty of stories on the front of the Daily Telegraph. The first one that captures my attention is Southgate hints at resignation. Leo, now I think I'm the only member here that's particularly interested in football, but I think...
and he's the manager of the England football team.
Yeah, those 11 guys kicking the ball around.
You know your stuff.
Yeah, he's
well ahead. Wow.
He's essentially sort of taking a moment now to consider his future. I think personally, as do a lot of people, I'm sure, I'll be surprised if they don't, that Gareth Southgate has been someone that's been very good, very successful for England. His run rate at the moment is a semi-final of the World Cup, followed by a final of the Euros, and now knocked out by France yesterday in this World Cup. I think it will make a huge difference, actually, if he was to step down, because I think he leads the dynamic of that group structure.
He also seems to have fostered a sort of culture of responsibility and niceness in the squad. Because I remember when footballers were all sort of drunken rapists, and now they're all sort of involved. Like Marcus Rashford, he's a political campaigner and. You know, really sort of doing something for the community.
He's made those players a lot more accessible. I think he's taught those players, or anyone who comes in to the England squad, that they need to be more accessible and in a positive way.
He's done a good job, hasn't he? A lot of achievement there, and you know, I don't know anything about football, but I could have done better. You know,
well, maybe you can do that.
I think he did well.
Manager.
Considering he's not me, I thought he did pretty well. You know? You know?
Kerry for player manager.
I don't see why not. I feel like I'm being made fun of here.
On to the
what else we have on here is the agency doctors getting paid 5k a shift by hospitals, which is a bit cheeky at a time when nurses are striking and saying they're going to food banks. But I hope that shift they're getting paid for is like a week.
Well, not all nurses are striking. Some of them are a bit rough. But 5k.
That's, really?
That's doctors getting paid 5k.
Let me pause on that one for a bit.
That's doctors getting paid 5k a shift.
Yeah, that's quite a lot, isn't it?
And they're still going on strike.
Yeah.
That is just insanity.
I'm pretty sure it's not these doctors going on strike.
I bet they
these
don't want to take
doctors will be working while the other doctors strike.
Oh, right. Well,
are they? Do you know
that's
that?
not what the story says.
You don't know that?
No, I don't. I know very little.
I think they'll be joining in and saying, us too, why not? Let's have some more money.
I need 10 grand a shift.
The Libyan suspect of Lockerbie has been extradited to America, where he'll probably have better treatment than he was in a Libyan jail. And rail strikes will force, we also got in the Daily Telegraph, will force families to hold a virtual Christmas, and they're releasing a new song called I'm Dreaming of a Virtual Christmas to try and get people in the mood.
So we just can't escape lockdown. It used to be because of the government rules, and now it's because of the strikers.
More Zooming, it would fit. That's only if you're planning to travel to your family any time between now and
Who would do that at Christmas?
Which seems ridiculous. I'm not inviting my family to do that.
And it's not going to make the train strikers any more popular, really, is it? I mean, not striking over Christmas. We're seeing so many strikes. The ones I feel most sorry for has been the post strike that happened this week, because there was a time where the postman used to deliver presents and happy stuff and love letters, but of course that's all done now on the internet. So really, we didn't get bills for a day. It was very hard to convince people. And they don't have the best hand there.
You used to get a tenner in a Christmas card from your grandma, and the postman would maybe nick it, and that didn't happen for
nothing there now.
We managed. We got by.
On to the Guardian next, Kerry.
OK, we have the Tories are under fire over plans for military to act as strike breakers. I'm not quite sure what strike breakers are, but I think they're stepping in. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to drive tanks directly through the picket lines into the people that are paid under £5 a shift, which I think we all agreed earlier that was the right thing to do, didn't we?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so, this is basically, as ever, which is what you do, don't you, particularly if you're a Tory government, which we all love. If it's all going wrong, bring the military in. And that's the best way to solve this strike.
It's given me nostalgia for my upbringing. There was the military doing everything for a while. Everyone was on strike for a good decade or so. And,
the ambulance, I mean, at one point in the early 90s, I vaguely remember the ambulances being on a strike for about 5 or 7 months, and they brought
and the military came in?
They brought the military in, and I helped reform the ambulance service, actually. So this could introduce something.
So this could have long-term benefits. The military coming in could introduce, better working practices for
every cloud.
They can't be expected to do everything. You don't want someone doing an appendectomy who says "who dares wins" just before they go in. It's the wrong attitude. So I think they've got to have their limits.
You want them to do it with a scalpel and not some ceremonial
really
like Claymore.
Don't be brave.
If
the military go on strike, it might be down to us.
Something with PTSD just twitching as they get to your artery. It's not going to be so good. So what are the Financial Times?
Well, they're telling us that 2 MEPs are being held, although they're not naming them at the moment, I don't think, as Qatari corruption scandal shakes European Parliament. Can you imagine this, Leo? Scandal within the European Parliament.
Yeah, corruption as well.
Unbelievable.
Big sums of money changing hands. I mean, this sounds...
600,000 euros seized. This is essentially... I mean, I think there was talk of...
It's in cash.
Yeah, and there was also £100,000 worth of holidays dished out. That's a hell of a holiday. My holidays are usually in caravan parks, and you can stay in a caravan park for 3 years, right? But I mean, this is just this Qatari, this Doha World Cup is completely shrouded in corruption by the sounds of it.
Is it linked to the World Cup?
It's directly linked to the World Cup.
They wanted good PR for the World Cup, which, another way about it might have been LGBT rights and migrant worker rights, but this was the other way of going about it. Is going, how about we give you loads of money and you shut up and make us look good? And it does say it's
bribing them. This is bribing MEPs to not criticise Qatar.
Yeah, say good things and we'll take you on holiday.
And the nerve of it is the Qatari media, Al Jazeera, is constantly saying that Israel's actually up to that, whilst they are doing it themselves and have been doing for a while. This isn't new or surprising, and it does say 4 unnamed people on Sunday were charged, which I would have thought that would be suspicious anyway. I've never really trusted unnamed people.
No.
Anyone who doesn't have a name, they're up to something.
I'm just upset that I'm not involved in any way. There seems to be a lot of bribery going on with this World Cup, and
You're feeling left out.
I would have taken $10 grand.
I'm willing to stop criticising strikers and stuff if any union bosses want to send me some money. I know that's how it's all done. So
It's very generous of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd love a briefcase full of cash. There's also snow on the front page.
There is a lot of snow on the front page.
You've left the front page outside then, haven't you?
Yes, it's free. So anyone who's not outside at the moment, have a look, because there is where we are. We're in West London here, and there's a lot of snow out there.
And we're going to take a while getting home tonight, aren't we?
We are.
Our cab drivers, hope they're careful, but be careful in the snow. I mean, it's fun. Last time it snowed like this, I think it was about 2 years ago, and I saw an old lady slide down a hill on her back. Not deliberately, she just went. And
hilarious stuff.
Well, I'm not saying it's funny. It's not funny to
jump on.
It's not
use it as
funny.
a luge.
It's not funny. It was quite funny on this one occasion, but it's not normally. I was one of the people who helped her back up to the top so we could watch her go again.
Yeah, if you want to see a picture of the snow in Paddington, it's on my Twitter feed, so you can follow me. And maybe take the mick out of me being slightly overweight. That's also a good thing to do as well.
Why don't you plug your YouTube channel by where you can follow yours up?
Same name.
Shameless. And finally, we've got the Daily Star, Kerry.
Have we? Oh, OK. No, you're absolutely right.
Kits are coming home.
Oh, we do have the Daily Star. Kits are coming home. I've obviously so read this story. I'll tell you exactly what it's about, though. It's about how gutted England players won't be coming home empty-handed after all, because Manchester City stars John Stones and Kyle Walker have adopted stray cats called Dave. Hold on. It says, oh, no, it's a stray cat. They haven't adopted a load of stray cats and called them all Dave, because that would be weird.
How did they know it's stray? They could have just stolen someone's cat.
Yeah, exactly.
It was in the hotel. hotel. This was one of the fascinating stories, if you've been following the England team, Leo.
No. I'm speaking for you.
often when you go on holiday, there's stray animals, and this was still the case here in Qatar.
Right.
And they adopted the stray cat, who started out quite feral, but is now used to this sort of millionaire lifestyle. So they're going to take them home, and I don't know what footballers do, kick them around the kitchen. Or
what a happy story! How about a happy story for any cats watching this?
Yeah, that's kind of happy. I mean, it's totally. Britain can start a new life as a people smuggler or something. Anyway, the front pages are done now, but join us in a couple of minutes where we'll be discussing bailiff body cameras, bad performance reviews, and why you've no longer got an excuse not to visit your grandparents.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned.
I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens,
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Leo Kearse, and the rest of the full Monty cast, Kerry Marks and Paul Cox. Man, I think I'd pay you to keep your clothes on.
I would do.
No offence. Anyway, let's kick it off with Monday's Guardian, and surprise, surprise, Paul, Labour are banging on about fixing Brexit.
Here we go. Keir Starmer must tackle economic disaster of Brexit, warn Labour grandees. This is Peter Hain, by the way. Remember Peter Hain from 2019? Keir Starmer must urgently develop a series of practical policies to address the economic disaster of Brexit and prevent it from driving Scotland towards independence, a former Labour Europe minister has warned. So there are 3 key aspects to this story: Brexit, Scottish independence and the economy, all of which are very important, but very, very boring. And do you know what?
Boring to you, Paul.
Well,
to some of us,
this is
Scottish.
This is really, yes, well, my fear of a Labour government, which I'm sure we're going to get, by the way, and it's probably about time for a change. My biggest fear is we're going to spend the next 5 years looking back. And the only thing we can do to move forward, I think, is get over Brexit, make the best of it, stay united, don't believe in independence for Scotland whatsoever, and try and grow the economy. Over to you, Kerry. What do you think, man?
I don't know whether we should take much from anything Starmer's saying at the moment. He is locked in. He wants to win the next election. Yep. He's going to do it. He's focused like a woman just on the edge of orgasm. There's no taking his mind off it at this point.
I've never seen that.
Well, neither have I. But I've heard these rumours, and anything she says right now, don't completely trust it. She might be calling you God, but you're not. He wants to win the next election, and it's quite interesting how focused he is. And I think one of his political heroes heroes was Wilson, who wanted to join the EEC, but at the time was saying he was against it. He didn't want to follow the Tory line, and then as soon as he was in, he pushed for a referendum. And I think it's possible we'll see something fairly similar with Starmer right now, because he is saying everything that is necessary to become a leader. Right. Which I can understand. I fully understand what he's doing right now.
He seems to be saying everything that everybody wants to hear. So he's talked tough on immigration, totally. For example. He's talked tough on stopping cross-channel migrants. Also talked tough on the labour market and preventing people joining the labour market, which would suppress wages, which was the traditional sort of hard left view.
But then we're going to hear the traditional situation has changed once he gets in, and once that phrase is said.
I think this just shows. I mean, this is Peter Hain. This is someone who was a staunch Remainer. I voted Remain, as I've said on this programme before, but we do need to move forward with this. And I think the worrying thing.
I voted Remain, but if I'd have known it would wind up on... I would
vote to leave now.
Brexit in a second. All right, the economy's like, what, a couple of % down? Do you think that affects me? Really, it's like, that's like losing 3 hairs off your head. It doesn't affect you at all.
It's terrifying.
It's worth it to wind up all these moany liberals.
And whilst Keir Starmer is going to have to put up with this, it's just going to be like, he's going to have to move to the centre, as Kerry says, and then he's going to have to go back and talk to the people like Peter Hain and say, I've said all these things. This is what we've got to do now. My worry is it's just going to be looking back for 5 years. This went wrong because of the Tories, a bit like the Tories did when they took over from Labour 10 years ago, 12 years ago now. And we don't need that.
Yeah, and
there's so many excuses, isn't there, available right now. Sorry.
Well, Brexit is the sort of hard economic impact of Brexit is mainly over, and looking forward. Europe is now cutting us sweeter deals on things because they see that Brexit isn't such a threat. They were worried that other countries would want to leave, and they wanted to punish the UK for leaving. So they made it difficult for us. But now they're making it sweeter because it's better for everybody if we work together and have more open trade. And I can see the UK and Europe slowly, at least when it comes to trade, moving closer together.
Which it's always going to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the end, it's always going.
It's always going to do. But Starmer's already said no to a Swiss-style arrangement and so on, which is quite interesting. So he's not offering any compromise right now.
Yeah.
And whatever does happen, I think the worst thing that can happen really is if we go back with nothing, with tail between our legs. The cowards, we failed.
Like when you're 8 years old and you run away from home.
Oh, it would be terrible, yeah. And we will be slapped around by it for it.
The Mirror now, and mortgage rates are going up, Kerry. Does this make you relieved that you'll never own your own home?
Ha, 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 you own a home. Is what it says here.
I want one as well.
Huh?
I want a home as well.
I want a home, yeah, but I'm really glad it's really sad to see those people who were able to afford a home being hit so hard. Homeowners face mortgage hike as Bank of England prepares to raise interest rates in days. Bank bosses will meet on Thursday, so this is a scare tactic, like sell your house before Thursday, and then they probably won't do it. Better still, just give your house to me. I'll take it for you. The bank's base rate interest is likely to be hiked to 3%, from 3% to 3.5%, which would be a 14-year high, which it's been a long time since my party days, but I have had a 14-year high, and it was pretty impressive, actually, so I don't think that's something to worry about. The people who are going to be hit were people with variable rate mortgages, but also the people with tracker mortgage rates and people with standard variable rates. That's every version, basically.
Anybody getting a new mortgage now is going to be, the bank's going to calculate it based on the new rates.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a home owner. I'm a home owner.
Yeah.
You've got to say that correctly. I'm a home owner. And
say again.
I am a home owner.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very much. And
Truth came out, though.
It's off my chest, finally. But and this is going to affect thousands of people. It really is. But the interest rates have been, and the house prices have been artificially. The house prices have been artificially high and the interest rates have been artificially low for a significant amount of time. Now, when I got my first mortgage, right, which was in 2001, believe it or not, which is why I do have a mortgage now, because I bought one when I was 21 years old, believe it or not. But the reason, and when I took out my first mortgage, the advisor said to me, and they were 4 or 5% at this time in 2001, you need to imagine what it would be like if they go to 10% again. So we did all my affordability calculations on whether I could afford a 4 or 5% rise in the interest rates. Now, I'm not suggesting they don't do that anymore. I don't know if they do or don't. I'm fixed for some time, so this isn't going to affect me immediately, but it will affect me at some point. But it would be irresponsible, and we've been here before, if people aren't advising people. If you're taking out a mortgage now on a £400,000 house and you've got a £300,000 mortgage and you can only just afford it, well, the breaking news is you won't be able to afford it on Friday.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the problem, isn't it? People are you guys would like to own a home, but I'm sure you wouldn't like to own a high debt with high interest rate.
I thought we were all promised that by now we'd have like cardboard kit houses or something that come with instructions. You just buy a bit of land and then you make a house. You press a button.
I think Jeremy Corbyn was going to give us all a house, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, with free Wi-Fi.
That's very nice of him.
And jam.
I believe he was going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of promise you can make when you've got zero chance of ever getting elected.
Did it come with a chocolate on the pillow?
If it had done, I would have voted.
On to Monday's Telegraph, and bailiffs are going to wear body cameras, so at least when you lose everything, the happy moment will be recorded.
Exactly. Bailiffs will be forced to wear body cameras to protect vulnerable people struggling with debt, the government has announced. The move is aimed at safeguarding households from rogue agents. So essentially, this is protecting the people that are having their belongings taken away. Now, that's probably a good thing. You know, reading this, it feels like a good thing. Bailiffs tend to be bouncers that have got a promotion, essentially, don't they? They're not
being fired from the nightclub.
They're too dangerous to chuck out drunk men from nightclubs for ogling women, so they can now take furniture from single mothers on a council estate. But it's for me, it's really difficult because this is going to happen more and more. Well, this story comes. I mean, it's in the Daily Telegraph, so they're hyping this up slightly. But this is coming on the eve of this type of thing happening more and more. So I think it's probably a good idea that we're starting to look at safeguarding some people. I mean, you see these things, I don't know if you have done on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, where often it's bailiffs going into homes and the protagonist is often the person trying to defend their home. And you can see why. There's a lot of vulnerable people out there, isn't there? And they may. Or
a lot of people who pretend to be vulnerable when somebody wants their money back.
Well, exactly. So there is a yin and a yang to this, Leo. But
because this could the sort of crackdown on bailiffs and extra restrictions for them could limit people's access to credit. Because let's not forget that this is an agreement, a free agreement between two willing people. So the government's getting involved in saying, "Oh no, we need to mess this around." And you know, obviously, some people are vulnerable. They don't understand the interest rates and stuff like that. That's people getting mortgages. But you know, for some people, they need to borrow this money. They understand why. They understand what they're paying back, and this will stop them borrowing that money that they need.
If it's clear enough. But the trouble is that a lot of this is private company stuff. So the bailiffs are often working for private companies. That's the legitimate ones, which we also see with the people who do the fining for dropping cigarettes and the car clamping and so on. I mean, there's a lot of those videos on TikTok where someone's saying, telling people their rights and going, actually, you can walk into a public building and they can't follow you. I don't know what's true or what's not, but most of us don't really know our rights there.
Crossing the threshold of a church.
It is. But also we've got to realise a lot of people are going to take up that job because they're bullies, right? They enjoy... And I do think that job will attract... A lot of these people who take on that job, they didn't get to be milk monitors in school or hall monitors. This has been playing on their mind ever since as a way of...
And this is where this story falls over slightly. Sorry to talk over there, Kerry. Because it's the bailiffs wearing the cameras.
Yeah, I was going to say...
We should all be wearing the cameras then,
well,
shouldn't we?
that's coming. There'll be floating cameras at some point soon everywhere around you and in your homes, and also, in your bed.
If they're wearing the cameras, if they do anything bad, they can just lose the footage.
Oh, accidentally,
I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, The Guardian next, and it seems that stressed workers aren't performing. Is this going to affect your sideline as a gigolo, Kerry?
This is a survey, which we always trust those, don't we? Stress over cost of living crisis harming workers' performance, the survey finds. Real surprise that it turns out the cost of living and not having enough money is causing stress in people. Who'd have thought that? I think it would have been terrible if it turned out to be the other way around. If it turned out that people who can't afford to live were more excited about life. You know, if that was de-stressing, then that would really give bosses a massive opportunity, wouldn't it?
I mean, this all does go back to this endless doom reporting that we're all addicted to, we all see. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? We only have to look at the weather at the moment. So last week it was fuel prices are going through the roof. Everyone's got to pay 300 quid away a month to do X, Y and Z. And then all of a sudden the temperatures drop and they're panicking because they've got to tell the elderly and the vulnerable, you need to put your heating on, otherwise you're going to die now instead of in February. So
We'd all rather die in February.
Yeah, exactly. See Christmas out the way at
Totally.
least. And by the way, rack up those bills. You might as well rack up the bills.
If you know you're going to go, yeah.
Exactly, take that.
Well, I'm surprised to see that this is affecting productivity negatively, because you'd think the stress, the worry about being poor would make you work
harder. Yeah.
Like a Victorian
you
method.
need that money.
Yeah,
I think there's a point where the depression maybe stops you. And the Citizens Advice has said it's helping 2 people a minute. It doesn't say how.
Sounds like they're not spending enough time on it.
That's what I was thinking.
It's like 30 seconds to fix a problem.
But you should open your office for more than a minute. I mean, that might be that. We don't know whether that's all their offices around the country.
That's just them bragging about meeting their targets, isn't it? This is just an opportunity to brag.
Anyway, that brings us to the halfway point, where from here it's a descent into silliness, like it hasn't been already, with trans princesses, Generation Z woke workers, and why this immigrant to New Zealand won't be going over on a dinghy. See you in 2 minutes.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
There's a guy who went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners, Monday's Daily Mail first, and being caught out lying in a job interview is pretty embarrassing, but this policewoman invented a story about helping a trans colleague who didn't exist and it never happened. Kerry.
This is great. I love this story. This is a policewoman who's guilty of gross misconduct for making up a story about transphobia. I'm going to read this bit. Srivastava was hoping to be promoted into the serious organised crime unit. That's what the interview was for, after 27 years of unblemished service. When she's asked during the interview how you consider a range of values and needs when making a decision that affects a group of people. So in other words, how have you shown initiative? She then makes up this story. She panicked and she claimed that she'd challenged a colleague who'd made a transphobic remark and got them to apologise. So in other words, she showed initiative. In the interview, she showed the initiative that they were looking for. And then her lie gets exposed because, of all things, a detective inspector turns up at her workplace asking to meet the people involved. And she tries to get out of it, ends up admitting that I embellished the tale a little. And this comes round to eventually having to say that, no, she made the whole thing up. But look, no one actually got hurt here.
Yeah.
Like, she made up a lie in which there are no real people.
But
there's no real people.
That was the problem. Nobody got hurt. She made up the fact that somebody got hurt. But
Good on her.
Isn't this a problem? They ask these questions.
No, she's the kind of police partner you want if you kill someone on the job. You're like, quick, make something up. And she'll be like, I'm good at this.
But isn't this a problem with job interviews? Because especially in the public sector, they ask you, you've got to justify, they've got to measure you against all these different attributes. So this question, how you consider a range of values and needs when making a decision that affects a group of people, and they want an example of you stopping racism or transphobia. But perhaps where she works, there wasn't any racism or transphobia. Perhaps the supply of racism and transphobia isn't keeping up with the demand for job interview.
She told them what they wanted to hear.
Exactly.
And she knew what they wanted to hear.
I'm wondering why they went and checked. It sounds to me like it wasn't they were checking on the story, they were hoping there was some juicy, salacious anti-trans business going on at a previous station and went to check it out and were kind of upset to find there wasn't. It's such a high commodity victimhood now. This is what made me laugh about this. I just got caught up in the moment. How many times when you get caught up in the moment, Kerry, have you made up a story about saving a trans person?
Totally, I do it all the time, just about any interview. You know the thrill of the interview and you think, I know what these people want to hear. So
it's brilliant.
I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard.
I don't think...
No one got hurt. There's no real people involved.
I do feel sorry for her that we're actually mentioning it here. It's made this bigger story. It shouldn't have done, really. I know what the Mail are highlighting here. They're highlighting this culture we now live in where...
No, they're highlighting that it's a Sunday and there's not much news.
Yeah, a good point.
And so they're just going, well, a woman told a lie about something.
In job interviews now, you've got to show how you tackled some sort of systemic oppression. And if you can't find any systemic oppression, you're in trouble because you're not going to get a good score against that question.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I feel sympathy for this.
But what was wrong with helping not real people as well?
Yeah, exactly.
They suffer an awful lot.
This is how it help imaginary people.
You're imaginary.
Don't imaginary people have rights as well? Anyway, moving on to the Times. English football fans might be despondent, but it seems like at least they're not coming home from Qatar empty-handed, Paul.
Oh, is that... So is this the trans princess? Sorry, ever so sorry, Leo. Leaked documents show that a member of the Emirates ruling Al Thani family told Home Office that growing up in Qatar has been the most difficult thing I've had to do. I can believe that. Because I never wanted to be put into this body. Well, that bit I believe. The next bit I struggle to believe, OK? The Gulf state claims it does not tolerate discrimination against anyone.
I underlined that as well.
Yes, I was thinking, well, that seems... I mean, they can't believe that we would believe that.
That's a real job interview answer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I wanted to pull back to that other story, because asking if you've ever been in a difficult situation before, she's got the perfect story. I was trapped in the other gender's body, growing up in a leading Emirates ruling family. But go and check that out. That would get her the job, I'm sure. I guess it's a bit like being a muggle in a wizard family, Kerry.
She did say that she knew this about herself, because I can remember simply because my outside never matched my inside, which is a good thing, because if your outside looks the same as your inside, all sort of blood and guts on the outside.
Like the human version of the Pompidou Centre.
Absolutely, yeah, that's no good for anyone, is it?
Look at the pancreas on that.
I think we've exhausted that story.
I certainly don't want to follow that bit.
Monday's Mail has an interesting story about the Albanians who protested about being stereotyped as criminals. It turns out they were actually criminals.
They were actually. Two people smugglers led the 1,500-strong protest where the Albanian flag was draped over Churchill's statue, and they've turned out to be people smugglers, which is lucky we didn't know that, because when they put the flag over Churchill, if we knew they were people smugglers, we would have expected them to take it off and find that Churchill's now in France. They were charged somewhere there, and this Enkelide Omi. In fact, the two of them are being called the Omi brothers, which really does sound like an old-fashioned double act, doesn't it? The kind of act where one of them pretends to be a ventriloquist puppet and sits on the other boy's knee. But we thought it was useful for our community to show we are not what we are called. We are not criminals. We are not invaders, said the criminal invaders. I mean, what's next? We're going to see the people traffickers going on strike for more money and saying that their treatment isn't good enough.
I admire the Albanians, though. I mean... This is typical of them, isn't it? The way they came out in central London a couple of weeks ago to protest, just to protest that they weren't doing the things that they were doing during the protest. Yeah. I really did quite admire, all in these sort of £100,000 cars each. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're making a success of it here, aren't they? They're certainly not taking my job.
They're certainly managing to confuse the news a little bit, aren't they? With the incredible mix.
I think we should be asking them how to make money.
I love the fact the Home Office spokesman said, we value our Albanian community. It's like someone said to him, can you say something irrelevant and meaningless, please? Yes,
Flick through the index.
We have something prepared for all these occasions.
And of course, we'd like to remind viewers that not all of the Albanian people coming across in dinghies are people smugglers. Some of them are cocaine dealers. No, a lot of Albanians. I meet a lot of Albanians who've got regular jobs, can contribute to the economy. And if we ever legalised prostitution and cocaine, that would probably solve the money we're losing from Brexit. So anyway, to the mayor now, Paul, and the New Zealand government seem to have taken an immigration policy from my own bumper sticker: no fat chicks.
Exactly. You have pretty much written this policy, I'm sure, Leo. Woman denied New Zealand residency for being too fat and told to leave the country. A 36-year-old South African lady who once weighed 20 stone was horrified when officials told her she needed to lose almost 5 stone to be allowed to live in New Zealand.
Wow. And that doesn't make sense because there's lots of space in New Zealand.
Yeah, you think
but there's also been earthquakes.
Right, but surely you can absorb the...
Not caused by fat people.
Not caused by fat people.
The new conspiracy theory.
Let's be clear. I wasn't saying that. No, I'm not. I don't want to get fattest on this one, but it does say that she's raised eyebrows, which I'm not sure whether they were hers, and that's the only exercise she's getting. But might need to do a little bit more.
The biggest story coming out of New Zealand.
I don't really get this. I mean, surely having a large people in your country means they spend more, don't they? Isn't that?
She was. Yeah, exactly.
Why would you not want them?
Yeah. How, the questions they ask when you come in: how much are you planning to eat in New Zealand? but I mean, she was obviously allowed in. She took her young family there. She's got 2 children. Then she went for permanent residency, and they went, whoa.
Right.
Not at 20 stone. 15 stone's all right.
I've never heard that before, though. I've never heard of a country putting that as a limiter.
I've never heard of it. I mean, it's a great idea, but I've never heard of it. And it seems a bit like, considering New Zealand is such a super woke, liberal place. They're all so welcoming to everybody. I mean, they can afford to be that because it's a lot longer to get there than it is coming across the English Channel. But yeah, they're so woke and so liberal, and then to turn around and criticise someone for their obesity.
Well, I knew years ago there was an Eat As Much As You Like restaurant, and there was a family sitting right by the buffet table that were huge, a family of huge
Picking
people.
Directly from.
And I did ask the owner at one point. I said, "Surely that must cost you a lot of money." And he said, "They come in regularly. I put them right next to the buffet. They eat so much food it puts other people off, and everyone else spends less."
It's a reminder of what could happen.
Totally.
Charging tickets at the door to watch the fat people eat.
Anyway, not being fattest. I think they should learn
I'm
people.
Yeah, most of my friends are fat.
They're spending.
Yeah, it's not.
I can't really talk myself. but
most of the panel are fat, I should say. Yeah,
it's not.
Not Leo, obviously.
Most of me is fat, but not all.
Yeah, you only really need that sort of thing for a small plane or a fairground ride. So, finishing with the Mail, and Generation Z workers are demanding days off because their cats are ill and they want subsidised yoga as well, Kerry.
Yeah, we had the 4-day week thing that came up recently, which is being looked into, but this is now very much about Gen Z. The Z is in the middle of the word lazy. And you have time off for birthdays, workplaces and so on. And just about anything cat's ill. With the cat being ill, they actually mean their sister who thinks she's a cat. And I think what's happened is we got rid of we made it unsafe in the workplace for people to interact and date each other and form relationships, and now they just don't want to be there anymore. That was obviously going to be a consequence.
I assume we're all Gen X, aren't we? We're not millennials.
No idea.
I'm Gen X. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
You don't know what generation you are?
I must be Gen X
Born
as well.
60 to 80.
Oh yeah, I'm Gen X.
Just about.
Generation X.
So I don't think we've done anything, just to add a little bit of balance here, to inspire Gen Z to want to work or to want to spend more time at work. It's got some classic Mr. Mullins again of Pimlico Plumbers. If you need a quote about people skiving off, or young people, or anyone who isn't just some geezer that he likes, go to Mullins, sort of saying, it's. I used to have staff telling me they weren't coming in because their cat was ill. It's the woke attitude, he says. It's ridiculous, and it's getting worse, Kerry.
Really?
And we all agree, I think, by the sound of it, so maybe we're all in with Mullins here.
Yeah, I'm amazed that a plumber would do that. I can imagine somebody, maybe in the planning department of a local authority, working on policy or something. They're going to have a cat that's sickly and it's depressed and they need to take a day off.
As someone who only does a few hours work a week, I think get off your backside.
In 20-minute bursts.
In 20-minute bursts, yeah. Get off your backside and work.
Yeah, I mean, that is the joy of being a comedian. You don't put in a 12-hour shift, unless you include the drive.
The travel.
The drive to the gig. Yeah, the drive. I had to drive back from Newcastle the other day.
Treacherous.
Anyway, a tiny break now, but in the last section, we've got the stupidest Christmas present etiquette, charging family for Christmas dinner, and the stupidest Harry and Meghan story yet. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners on GB News. I'm still here with Paul and Kerry, two fantastic comedians, and to Monday's Mail, and Matt Hancock wants to be the next Louis Theroux, Paul.
Yes, if not Michael Portillo. Matt Hancock plans documentary series on assisted dying and dyslexia after he steps down as MP. Now, some would say that Matt Hancock has a lot of experience in assisted dying, Leo. But I do think I prefer the idea of Michael Portillo's railway journeys, if I'm honest. But yeah, he's planning a series of serious documentaries, Kerry.
It's interesting. He's basically listening to the stories. Like, this is what he's planning for his future. Like, good luck to you. Let us know when you've done it.
Yeah.
And it says he also broke the news in a social media on TikTok. This isn't breaking news, by the way, telling us your ambition. I always find it funny, these wordings, you know. If you tell me next year, or you tell me, let's say we have a family dinner and you go, I'm seeing someone, everyone, that's breaking news. But if you go, hey, everyone, breaking news, I'm thinking of seeing someone next year. That's really not really much, is it?
Yeah.
It's called exaggeration. And he's had a taste of getting away from politics and having some other options, and now his plan is to do a series on assisted dying and dyslexia. Put together, that'd be assisted dingy. I don't know why that even works as a joke, but I did it anyway.
I'm not overly familiar with Matt Hancock. So is he? He's dyslexic, I assume?
No one is.
No. Well, there was one lady that was, and one lady less so. But is he dyslexic, Leo?
I'm not sure.
No, so I'm not sure it came out clear in here, so we should know about it, I guess, because he was in the jungle.
Maybe he's saving that for the documentary.
Yeah.
I think with
if
his
he's
job,
not, isn't that
maybe he's dyslexic and he's also dead.
Yeah.
And that's...
He's going to assist himself to die, but he can't fill the form in.
He's also said...
apparently, I've just been told by the producers he is proudly dyslexic.
Oh, good on him.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. It's good to be proud of. Everyone's proud of something now.
He hopes that his time in the jungle will raise awareness of dyslexia. It's got a touch of that sort of smashy and nicey.
You've got this feeling that everything now in his life is about. Well, since my time in the jungle, you know, like I'm not sure how to cook this egg. Like, well, since I've been in the jungle, I found out it's better doing like this. And it's
like he was Darwin and he was away for 4 years.
Yeah, like he was raised in a jungle.
And do you think he's got the sort of charisma and the love of the nation to sort of carry on and make a success of this, as you know, Portillo or some other? I'm trying to think of other people who've done.
Well, yeah, it's possible though, isn't it? It's not impossible. I know there's a lot to come through the COVID inquiries that are going to take place over the next couple of years.
You think he's trying to cram it in before the results?
He might have to. Do you know what? Matt Hancock didn't kill your nan, COVID did, I guess. So Matt
Hancock just stood and watched.
Yes.
Anyway, staying with the Mail, and it looks like Harry and Meghan have really dropped the family in it this time, Kerry.
It's about the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary, which everyone except me is watching, putting royal family at risk from extremists. The former Met Police commander, which is quite interesting, has got involved in this, head of protection of the royals, says Meghan and Harry's Netflix series has put the royal family at risk from extremists. I don't know what extremists we're talking about here, people who criticise the royal family. The narrative has been attached to race to the extent that it has. To race to the extent that it has, you could have those at the extreme end of the taking the knee variety having a go at members of the family, which is odd because you think people who are into taking the knee are also into curtsying. It's only one tiny step away, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing that somebody Meghan can ridicule curtsying. But there's no way she'd ridicule taking the knee or using somebody's pronouns or some other new ritual that we have to go through now.
I think it's a bit of an over-the-top fear. In the age of social media where everyone's live, we're just used to all the famous people putting all their lives out now and everyone having opinions on everything. I kind of felt sorry for Harry years ago when he was growing up because he wrote that book Spare, and it must be awful growing up with a brother who you know is in childhood he's going to be king, right?
Yeah.
So all through his childhood, he'd have Harry, clean your room and do something with your life, like your brother who's going to be king, right? And that's a horrible thing to compete with.
But another thing is, I mean, Paul, there's a risk that there could be factions out there because this has become such a divisive and tribal issue, mainly because this race issue has been inflamed by grifters such as Meghan herself, Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, like people like that who are really, fomenting this idea that Britain's this intolerant, horrible country where it's not. We've always sort of got on to a large extent. There is obviously some racism, but and if the worst racism you can find is somebody dressed like somebody in fancy dress from Africa being asked where they're from, that really shows a sign of progress. But if some extremists who are motivated by racial issues target Prince or King, is it Prince William, in a ploy to get Harry to be the next king.
Yeah, I don't know if is the succession now going to be that way? But anyway, I mean, there is nothing within those. I mean, that was just full of nip-nap and trivia. I'll save you 3 hours. I watched it. I watched it, and the first.
Thank you for doing that for us.
The first 2 episodes about how they met and how much they love each other. Great stuff if you're into that.
Yeah.
And then it was a bit about how essentially the British media are racist and we've been made racist by Brexit. I was trying to figure out what they were quite what they were trying to say, but there isn't anything in there that's going to trigger extremism. If you watch this and you're triggered to commit some form of extremism, you were already there anyway. There's nothing in here.
It doesn't mean it won't happen. No, I mean, that's the thing with extremists. They're not that logical. Someone triggers them, and then all of a sudden they're blowing up a pop concert or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. There's the Nif Naf and Trivia. I've said it again twice now on telly. That's what this is all about. This is a nothing burger.
Yeah. Anyway, sticking with the royal siblings, this story in the Star shows the royal family weaponising Christmas presents, Paul.
Oh, yes. Archie and Lilibet will receive royal Christmas gifts, but Harry and Meghan won't.
Oh, that'll show them.
Well, I mean, by the way, this is basically one auntie and uncle giving their niece and nephew Christmas gifts, but not the parents. Now, this happens in every family across the country. Not every family. I mean, it does happen in ours. it saves money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The Christmas is for the children. Give the children gifts. And by the way, the children in this situation are not
need
to
to
blame.
save money, though.
Yeah, well, they don't need to. That's a very good point, Leo. It'd be funny if they came out and said they're having a cost of living crisis as well, as well as an existential one.
It's a lot of money heating that palace.
It would be, I'd imagine, but it's not going to be an issue to them. But this is the sort of thing that's going on all the time. I'm glad they are giving gifts. It doesn't. They do need. At the end of the day, this is two brothers.
Yeah.
I'm glad they are. I hope they sort it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're still giving presents to Archie and Lilibet. Isn't Lilibet the name of the people in Gulliver's Travels? Something very similar. A weird thing to name a child after, but this isn't even a story, is it? It's none of our business. I kind of feel this is none of our business.
There's £100 million spent on this Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a royal family. Of course it matters.
No, but aren't families all over? Some families say, hey, we're just going to give presents to the kids this year. We're not giving presents to all the adults because it's a bit silly.
Yeah, because adults have got money and they buy what they want. But yeah, I think the royal family are important. It's like nobody watches Emmerdale Farm anymore, but we watch the royal family. Anyway, Monday's Express now. And Kerry, is this a Christmas Scrooge or just someone sharing the cost of living crisis at Christmas?
This is another one of those, how is this a story? Mum astounded when sister, this is such a Sunday today, this Sunday. This is more Sunday than most Sundays. Mum astounded when sister says she will charge £20 for Christmas lunch. And what this is, it's gone wild apparently on Mumsnet with people like, oh, we must all have an opinion about someone charging £20 for their own family and another thing that's none of our business that you can do if it, look, I don't know. Should she charge £20 for a family to come round for Christmas lunch, Christmas dinner? Is she broke? Are they broke? How big is the family? Do they take turns hosting? Is she a vegan? Is the turkey made of gold? What is it? And as I ask these questions,
the details, Kerry.
I'm demanding the details because now it's happened to me. This is what the problem is with this kind of story. You start off saying, who cares? It's someone else's family and they can do whatever they like. And next thing is like, wonder what's going on in that family and whether maybe we should all be charging £20 for a bit of turkey.
There's 10 people coming to me, so that would be £200. That'd be a hell of a lunch.
It's your family. You can do what you like. You can say everyone's got to come around wearing purple wellies, and then it shouldn't make the news. It should be, a family have decided that everyone's got to wear purple wellies.
Could we pay them £20 not to come? That would be a much better idea. I'll give everyone £20. Don't turn up.
In fairness, I know I'm Scottish, but my mother made us go and get all this stuff for Christmas dinner.
Good on that.
We paid for the train tickets. I'm not bitter. We paid for the train tickets.
That's why the details matter here.
Yeah.
Because, while she
just go and buy stuff.
She brought you up.
It's expensive, though. Christmas dinner is expensive. Someone's hosting it and they go, well, what she should say is, would it be OK with everyone to chip in? That'd be nicer, wouldn't it?
The problem, the mistake she made was putting it on Mumsnet, I fear. And I love Mumsnet, by the way.
But that is where women who have too much time...
Just look straight at Mumsnet.
With that? Have you got shares
These are dangerous people. These are dangerous people.
A comedian does have shares in Mumsnet. Paul Tomkinson.
Does he?
Yeah. His wife was one of the founders. But anyway, that's a totally different story. Anyway, that's all we have time for tonight, I'm afraid. I've been Leo Kearse, and thank you so much to my brilliant panel. That wasn't supposed to sound so sarcastic. Kerry Marks.
It really hurt.
And Paul Cox, last time seen on TV before heading off into a snowstorm. Tomorrow's Headliners has Simon Evans. Tune in at 11 p.m. See you then.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by two of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late-night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216.
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio,
with the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. There's never been a more interesting but also critical time in British politics, and I can't wait to bring you the biggest stories of the day with the best factual accuracy and also a few of my own opinions thrown in. We'll engage in passionate but always polite debate with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12 on TV, on radio and online.
Good evening, I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB Newsroom. A number of people are believed to be in a critical condition after being pulled from a lake in Solihull. West Midlands Police described the incident as serious, saying emergency services are at Babs Mill Park in Kingshurst. The fire service says reports from the scene and videos on social media indicate people had been playing on the ice and had fallen through. A search and rescue operation is now underway. Police in Jersey say 5 people are now confirmed to have died in yesterday's explosion in St Helier. A blast ripped through a 3-storey block of flats in the capital in the early hours of the morning. Around 4 people are still thought to be missing. The Chief of Jersey Police, Robin Smith, says sadly more fatalities are expected.
We are not going to be here for days. We are likely to be here for weeks, and it's important that I make that clear. This morning I spoke to the Family Liaison Coordinator who described to me the feelings of those families, and I am really keen to ensure that everybody properly understands the emotions that they are currently going through. So this is not going to happen quickly, it's going to happen carefully, and it's going to happen sensitively.
The man accused of making the bomb that caused the Lockerbie disaster is now in US custody. 270 people were killed when a device was detonated on Pan Am Flight 103 in December 1988. The Justice Department says Libyan Abu Aghila Massoud, who's believed to be the third